Welcome to the Thornton Review.
The show designed with you in mind. If it's important to you, it's important to us.
We want to thank our sponsors, Ida Gates Godly Tees LLC, Next Door Real Estate Photography, and First National Title Insurance Company. On today's show, we're going to meet Kevin Adams, Escambia County School Board District 1. But first, we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to begin our discussion with Kevin about how cell phones and social media content impact our students. There is no government-funded program that can guide a man's thoughts. Only God can do that. Kevin Adams is a product of the Escambia County School District. He graduated cum laude with degrees in accounting, technology, and business administration from Pensacola State College. He's also on the Alpha Beta Gamma International Business Honor. Kevin retired from the Department of Defense after 38 years of civil service at Pensacola NAS. His positions included financial management analysis, facility and safety manager, and contract performance assessment. Kevin cares about the quality of education that our schools provide our children, and he understands the financial challenges that we face. Kevin's philosophy is that we must continue to improve and evolve the education we provide to meet the needs of our students. Kevin pushes to provide teachers and administration with the necessary resources to achieve adequate levels of educational processes and for higher graduation rates within the Escambia County School District. Kevin is currently serving his third term on the Escambia County School Board, representing District 1. Kevin has served as Vice Chair and Chairman of the Escambia County School Board. He's a former member of Escambia County School District Half-Cent Sales Tax Watchdog Committee. He served on this committee for 7 years, including time spent as chairman of the committee. Kevin served 8 years and is past chairman of the Escambia County School Attendance Advisory Committee. He has also served on the Escambia County Military Affairs Committee and the Value Adjustment Board. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you on again. You've been on the show before. And it's always nice to have your insight on things regarding the school district, because if anybody knows about the school district, it's you.
Try to.
Yeah. You stay on top of things. I know. I watch you. I know you stay on top of things regarding the school district and regarding anything that's going to impact our children.
Yeah.
You retired from civil service, 38 years, and you brought your experience from various aspects of running a business, running the departments that you did, to the school board. Yeah. And you've implemented what you know to use your information and knowledge to run the school board, which is amazing.
Well, a little bit different department fence than it is from the school district, but yes.
But you've learned,
yes.
From the 38 years of experience, and you brought it to the school board. So we want to talk about what's going on in social media right now, what's going on the news, cell phones and social media, and how it impacts our students.
Right, and we know that the Congress had a hearing yesterday. They invited all the social media executives, and they had parents in the audience holding up their loved ones. This social media and cell phones has been a crisis in America, coming to a national disaster. Increased suicides, and if I could go through a couple of facts here real quick. Non-fatal safe self-harm, age 10 to 14, for girls has gone up 188%. For boys, 48%. Teen suicides.
They're saying this is because of social media.
Well,
like bullying.
These kids don't have the maturity to get this inappropriate content they're getting from all media sources. So the worst thing a parent could do, if a parent wants their child to have some difficulties, they give them one of these phones. With our school district can't block this. We can't.
Right.
They got their own hotspot.
Right.
And so
And they're allowed in schools.
the other data here is U.S. teen suicides. Boys, it's increased 109%. Girls has increased 130%. It's all started in 2012 when social media and the cell phones, Instagram, the girls started getting on Instagram. So now you're seeing at the national conference I went to a couple months ago, Jeb Bush was Excellence in Education. They were highlighting it because the data's there. This experiment of allowing children to have access to any inappropriate content is killing kids. It's killing kids and causing mental health problems.
It's not the fact that they have cell phones, it's the fact that they have access to the internet.
They got access
So
to the internet.
when David was growing up, and we got him a cell phone, just for emergencies to be able to call us. Of course, he was calling his friends, but we turned the internet off. He didn't have internet on his cell phone.
Yeah, the best thing a mom or dad could do, just go to Walmart, get a flip phone, put some minutes on there.
And if there's an emergency and your kid needs to call you, then they can call you.
Yeah, I had a mom call me last year where their child got a hold of inappropriate content, and she was upset, but it was her devices. But she did not realize the school district cannot control these kids' personal devices at all. So
she was letting the kid take the phone to school, thinking that the school is going to control what he can
Well,
see.
they think our firewall is going to control their device. It doesn't.
Yeah,
It's underneath their own hotspot.
Of course.
But I would tell you the damage that's being done for mental health. These boys that are doing these violent games, online. You see the violence when they bring it to school, or when they go and boys have a history of shooting up with schools or anything else. This is really just
from day one.
It's really getting them.
I said from day one, the first school shooting, I said, I'll bet that kid sits at home alone all day and
play these
and plays the
games.
violent video games. And people were like, oh, that's ridiculous. I play violent video games all the time, and I'm not going to shoot anything up. I'm like, well, you don't have the mental capacity. We don't know what's going on in the home.
Yeah.
We don't know what the parents are doing, what that kid has been exposed to other than the violent video games. It's a combination of things.
Right. It's coming at them.
And the maturity
and the worst
level.
part of this is people making money on them, either through books or songs or whatever
The video games.
that are video games that are wanting to get this content to the children, and it is devastating.
And the Instagram.
And that's why Congress is getting worried. That's why our governor's getting worried. Our legislators are getting worried. All the states, because the data is right there. I mean, it's.
So now, how is Instagram impacting the children?
Well, that's when it all started. If you go to 2012, that's when Instagram came in, where non-fatal safe harm, girls went up to 188%, boys up 48%, boys suicides up to 109%, girls suicide up to 134%.
I wonder
It all
what
started
about-
in 2012, and I think really that's when all kinds of inappropriate content started being funneled to these kids, either whether it was through their music or whatever was going on. I think at that time is when, because when I was in school, the adults try to keep us away from anything that was bad.
Right.
Now you got adults
There were certain
wanting
things that
kids
I was
to have this inappropriate content, and they just don't have the maturity to handle it.
See, we didn't have cell phones, and
No.
we didn't have internet. We didn't
No.
even have internet.
No.
There's not even home computers.
Yeah.
So
One of
we
the
don't
distant.
know. We don't know what this is doing to younger minds
Well,
because we weren't exposed to it.
Right, but you're seeing why they're concerned is because this experiment is failing. These kids are the canary in the coal mine, and the canaries are dying. They're getting sick, and unless we push back on these children, should be allowed to be kids.
They should be shielded.
And shielded from this
harm,
kind of
and
stuff.
This is harmful.
And a parent, I may not agree, but when they're on their own, they can do whatever they want. But for the school district, I'm going to try to push back. And like I said, it's just real easy. Just the parents go get a flip phone, put some minutes. So if they're late to practice or whatever, they can call you. Don't give these kids one of these devices. They will have a much healthier life it'll be a tremendous boost to them. And we have parents out there that are
Yeah.
trying to keep the kids on the right track and not. But the school district's having to deal with these children that it impacts.
I want to say one thing, the difference between Facebook is provocative enough, but there's a lot of communication and chatter that goes on there. But Instagram is mostly pictures and videos, and that's where the provocative stuff, the centralizing, so much stuff goes on Instagram, and then you get copycats because you just if you ever go to Instagram and just look at some of the content, and that's
never go to it.
Just as bad as TikTok.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Instagram is really, to me, a child should not really get to be on Instagram until, I don't know whether 16 is mature enough.
Jeff Bush was recommending 16 years old for, that's a minimum age. Now, if I was a
I
parent,
don't think that's mature.
I would keep them out of that too. These are children.
I would
These
say
are minors. You need to keep a watch on it and protect them, because I had a mom call me last year and her child was getting bullied on Facebook, and I said, well, it's pretty easy.
Take your kid off Facebook.
Take your kid off Facebook, because it's a difficult situation for these children, and we see them when they're go to lunch or something. Now they passed a law they can't have it open in the classroom, but in break time, in between breaks or lunch, you'll just see those kids right down in his phone. And I was telling Pushell before we came in here, somebody had sent me a video a while back, I probably can't find it, where a school district actually took the phones completely out of the system. And it
That's
showed over a
interesting.
couple of days
I'd
of
like
how
to
long
see
it
that.
took these kids,
To
because they're pretty angry. The first,
Right.
it took a while for them to, and these were younger kids, to get to the point they could go out and do kickball and do stuff and start being a regular kid again.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this grand experiment by the far left of letting this content come in has failed. It is getting bad. And I will tell you, this is a nonpartisan issue.
It is. It is.
The moms for Democrats, the moms for independents, and the moms for Republicans don't want their child to be indoctrinated
harmed.
with this kind of stuff without their permission.
And to harm themselves.
Harm
Yeah, we
themselves.
don't
So
want that.
I spoke to the board about this. I gave them the same information. This has gone a long way, and I don't know where it's going to go, but I would like to see us write some new policy to keep this stuff as down as we can in our school district, as controlled.
Well, there needs to be legislation that says if you're under a certain age, you can't have internet access.
I think
you
they're
can have a
doing
flip
that
phone.
down in.
I
You
was.
can have a flip phone because for emergencies. If you need to call your parents, or if you need to call 911, or if you need to call your older brother, or sister, whoever is your guardian, in case of emergency, you
Right.
should be able to call in case of emergency. So give the kids a flip phone.
Right, and
They
I
don't
think
need
it's, I
internet
think that the
access.
mom starts seeing this data and seeing just how bad
They're
it
going
is.
to a lot. I agree.
Hopefully,
A lot of them
that will
will
help a lot more control, because probably some of them don't even know what's going on.
But on the flip side, you're going to have some people saying, "Not my kid."
Well, that's true. Well, all they do is put it out there, and you can see the behavior of the kids is gotten worse.
I didn't have that data when my son was growing up,
Right.
and he didn't have a phone.
Right.
I mean, I knew before the data
Right.
was out that it was bad and harmful.
Yeah.
I was watching the congressional hearing yesterday where they had Mark Zuckerberg and some of the other
Right.
folks there, and this mother was there, and she was telling a story about her son, who no more than 15, could have been 13 or 14,
Right.
how he befriended someone on Facebook, on
Yeah,
social media,
Predator, probably.
and he thought he was talking to another teenager. He thought he was talking to another young person,
Right.
but he was talking to an adult, and they began to share pictures,
Kinda like a
new
catfish
pictures.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
called
and
catfish.
this and that, and pretty soon the person, the adult who had befriended him, was sharing these pictures with, asked for money and said, if you didn't give him a certain amount of money, then I'm going to spread these pictures around. And they came home, and the parents came home, and their son had committed suicide.
Yeah.
This was just yesterday.
Yeah.
And
It's horrible. It's horrible.
They told that story, and Mark Zuckerberg, he actually apologized to that parent. He actually apologized, but it was too little, too late.
The headline that I saw with Mark Zuckerberg saying these, it may not have been him saying it, but the headline said, showed a picture of him, these toys are killing our children.
Yeah.
And it
Well,
looked like it was something that Mark Zuckerberg said that, and he
Yeah.
also said, I would never allow my children to have these toys. And I don't know what toys they were talking about. It could be the phone.
It's phone, maybe the phone. But the only thing we can do is tell the parents. I mean, the best kind of legislation is for the parents to invoke it, you know?
Yeah.
And because you can pass all the laws in the world, but if the parent allows their child to go get on this phone, this one parent I talked to, and it was just something that was on TV, you know, where their child got into porn and all kind of stuff. And I told her, I said, you know, you set up that child with a TikTok account, you set up that child with an Instagram account, and now you're calling me because you're upset, and they access them on your devices.
Yeah.
And I said, get them off. Don't do that. Don't do that. I mean,
Talk
these
about-
children deserve a chance to grow up just to be kids
Yeah.
and not have all these grown-ups trying to funnel all this stuff to them.
And thinking
it's
that they're
gonna
going to
take people-
process it the way adults do.
Yeah.
Adults
don't have the-
forget.
they don't have the maturity.
That
Yeah.
when your brain is a sponge. The younger you are, the less you know, and you're learning and you're absorbing, and everything that you're exposed to is going to affect you in a certain way. And if you're exposed to it later in life, it's gonna you're mature and you know how to filter through it, and you know how to process through it. Children process that information differently because they've never been exposed to anything like that before. It's something new. It's shocking. It's damaging.
They had someone.
harmful.
Oh, and I tell parents, please keep control, and not just cell phones, songs, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and I was talking to somebody, back in my generation, we had rock and roll.
Right,
But it was really PG compared to what's today.
Yeah.
You know,
Parents,
because
parents
they
didn't want that. They didn't want the kids to see Elvis shaking
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
like that.
It was more PG, you know, and now it's like, and you know, these kids can't unsee what they see, you know, and
Right,
it's
I
just,
know.
it's devastating.
They process it differently than
And-
adults do.
And that's where I'm worried with, you know, I always talk about violence in schools, okay? That if
The
we got
video games.
the video games and everything going
And
on.
TV,
So then we'll see
violence
the
on
press, you know,
TV.
hey, you got this fight over here or over here. And it's coming from home to the school, you know, because they've been introduced to all this. So what we do, and I'm glad the superintendent we have now, I believe he's pushing along the right direction.
To maintain good order and discipline.
Maintain good order and discipline in schools. If there's a fight, there'll be an investigation. I have told the superintendent, and if it's a child that's had a history of violence, well, maybe they need to be expulsion out of school district and be done. And so that's what
we
I'm.
need to protect. You know, the number one, in my opinion, this might not be the thing, but when my son was in school, my number one, want and need from the school district was to protect him.
Right.
Protect
To have
him
a safe
physically.
environment for your student to be
Physically
in.
protect him.
Yeah, a
number
good
one.
educational environment. So, and what I tell a lot of people, the state of Florida is not giving us points for keeping these kids that got 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 referrals on violence. Okay?
Right, yeah. That's not protecting my child.
That's not protecting your child. We didn't move it on, so we got a new superintendent. He's took the interim off.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we can start making some headway in this, because usually at each school it's just going to be a couple kids
Right.
that are doing the violence, and once you show everybody that, hey, you're not going to be at the school no more if you're going to have violence. Violence on the bus, violence in the classroom, violence in school suspension,
Yeah.
violence if we send you to an alternate education program. At some point along the way, you got to hold the student accountable and the parent accountable.
Absolutely.
And expel that kid, do an expulsion for that child to be out there. We got to let students learn in that classroom, all the other students, and we got to allow the teachers to be able to teach.
Yeah.
And say no along. We got universal vouchers now. We got to compete. I mean, our level 3, 4, 5 students are choice out.
Right.
And that's not good for the school district.
So in the low-performing schools, if a parent decides to send their child to a different school, is that to
Well,
a
they can do
private
a couple
school?
of different ways. You can get a universal voucher where they can go off to a private school, okay? Or if you have a school with a DRF, they get an opportunity scholarship where they can go to any school in the Escambia County School District that has the capacity and has a C, so they can get the opportunity. So there's
I had to fight to get my son into AK Suter.
yeah
Because it was the first
Yeah,
year that
yeah,
the school in our district didn't fail
Yeah.
in like 30
Well,
years,
we-
and they said, okay, he's going to have to go there, and I'm like,
we got a lot of great schools that
Yeah.
have a line of parents wanting to get their kids in there, and but we just need I think if we take care of that the violence part of it with the kids and make sure that we got schools that maintain good order and discipline, and I'll give you an example. My Beulah Middle went through a rough patch over a couple of years. Now we have a
Really?
principal in there.
Beulah?
Yeah, Beulah Middle.
wow, that's
We had the
surprising.
Beulah Fight Club videos that went up.
Wow.
But we got the right principal in there. He's maintaining good order and discipline, and getting these kids disciplined that problem. So we're just gonna have to work on it. And now we got the new superintendent, and I'm hoping he's gonna move along with it on it.
So back to the legislation, I have a question. So
Yeah.
are they trying to legislate that children are not able to take their cell phones to school with
I hadn't
internet
seen
access? What is the goal for that?
I know just about as much as you. I hadn't read
Okay.
that bill that's down there
Yeah.
now, and I just saw it being mentioned on the news that they were coming.
But
they're talking about a great age level,
okay.
but I don't know where that bill is. And I would tell you, I get these notifications every time our local delegation files a bill. It scares me half to death every time
Yeah.
I see one go in there, because I don't. Until you read the bill, you don't know what it is.
So, well, it's good that they acknowledge that there's a problem.
Yeah.
That there is a problem. They're acknowledging there's a
Yeah.
problem, and they're working on solutions for the
Yeah.
problem.
And
So, hopefully
and
we'll
we're
see
going to have
some
to do it.
improvement.
It's a different environment now with universal vouchers. If Warrenton Middle, we lost 760 kids out of there that choiced out, and you just can't have that kind of environment. Now we have the charter company in there. I'm hoping they're successful. We need that school to be a success. I'm rooting for them down there, but they are managing some children that do not have that parental oversight or resources at home, and that's why I'm very happy I was able to get 2 more charter community partnership schools. One at Pine Forest, now at Bellevue Middle.
So now what is that? mean?
Community
That-
Partnership School is a program managed by the University of Central Florida. Ours is actually through University of West Florida.
Okay.
They're coordinating through, but it provides all those resources that a kid of poverty does not have.
Oh.
Education wise, even with a medical clinic, and it invites the community in with the parents. They can also have access to. It's the only program in the state of Florida that I've ever seen work for these low performing schools that got about 100% Title I kids from pockets of poverty and high crime. It is a winning program. It did it at CA Weiss. It did it all the way across the state of Florida. The problem with it is it's very expensive. It's very expensive. For all the services and wraparound services provided and the tutoring.
So who's paying it?
Yeah,
though, is
different.
what I'm at.
It's come from the
Tax?
from the state of Florida.
Okay.
Okay, state of Florida.
But,
The
state
school
taxes.
district, we don't.
Yeah.
We get our money from Tallahassee.
I'm just-
so they fund it, and because closing schools are not fixing the problem.
No.
It's
Because
just
they're
busing.
still kids.
They're just kids, and you're
Yeah.
busing those kids out of their
I mean,
community.
you
They're on the bus for an hour or
close a
two.
school.
Yeah.
That means those kids have to be dispersed
Well,
to other schools.
And guess what?
And then those schools have the problem.
Right. So guess what? Sooner or later, you run out of schools.
Right.
Okay.
So then they're all closed down.
I even joked to some people, what do we do? Put it on wheels, and just like a MASH unit. Just roll it to a new place. But so this is a program that works. Senator Broxson did a great job of bringing in the funds to do it, and other people. It's a 25-year commitment. But, when I see like those turnaround solutions at the Department of Education, don't work. You're spending millions of dollars there.
So is
this
it
is where-
currently working? Like
This is, well,
this year? Has it been
Bellevue Middle's in the
implemented?
startup
Okay.
on it. Okay, it takes a couple of years to get it going. Pine Forest, we got the medical clinic over there now,
Okay.
and we're getting pieces of it. So,
So
but
have you seen improvement yet?
it's just starting.
Okay.
Yeah, but CA Wise is the gold bearer. It's been there for a long
So-
time. It's been a
So,
C ever
so
since.
these are schools within schools. These are
Well, no, they're not schools within
Yeah, yeah,
schools
I
because
don't-
the whole school
the whole
has
school-
resources, and if the mom
It's
sick,
training, skill. It's a
she
skill
could come to
set.
that school with her child and go to the clinic and get medicine herself.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a great program. Lindsay Cannon, who's now on the trust.
Programs within
She was great at it. She knows I was the one rooting for her for a
Okay.
year. I had met with Commissioner Corcoran 6 years ago down in his office, and
I
and
loved
told
him.
him. I told
He
him
was
yeah,
great.
But I told him, I said the low 200 performing schools state of Florida should all be community partnership schools.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Yeah, you're probably right about that, but it's the cost. But how much cost is it for these kids if they drop out of school, get in crime, get in drugs,
Yeah.
and end up in prison?
No, these children are our future.
They're our future.
That's why they need to be shielded from harm, from mental harm, from physical
Right.
harm, and they need to be
Right.
taught
Right.
reading, writing, math, and a skill
You
set.
got to break that generational poverty.
yeah.
somehow.
Or sports or music.
Right.
They need to be taught that.
Right.
And they need to leave the social
Yeah.
bad stuff out. No,
If
no
it
video
can.
games, no.
Yeah.
What-
And I wanted to mention something else because we brushed. I can't talk a whole lot about books because we got the court case, but I do want to point out something that happened just recently when we had the first little court case here in town. Some people got a hold of a working document that our media specialists are using as they review 600,000 books.
Right.
Okay, it's a working document. There's about 2,800 that were on there still in that review process. And I mean, we got people on the left upset, and we got the people on the right. We had somebody on the right upset. But the only one thing I got to say to them, we're going to follow the law.
Mhm.
If the law states every book get reviewed, we're going to review it.
Right.
But I watched this press like it was a ban list or something. It's not. It's a working copy of a document. So we know what progress we're making. We should have been celebrating from going 600,000 just to 2,800.
Mm-hmm.
But I am proud of our superintendent and my fellow board members because so far we've always said we're going to follow the law.
Yeah.
And unless they change that law down in Tallahassee or that governor executive order,
Right.
we're going to follow that law. And because we see the damage that's happening when kids get inappropriate content.
Yeah.
We can't allow it.
And
So
the
don't get
mind,
your feelings hurt if your book's getting reviewed, because all of them are going to be reviewed, every one of them, because it's required by the law.
Okay. So
go ahead. No.
the review process is backwards. The books need to be reviewed before they come in, not after they
Well,
come
the
in.
problem we got is there was
You
a whole
already
bunch of them
have-
that were already there.
Because you already have a million books.
there was a
Right.
bunch there, so
But-
you're right.
But what I'm saying,
Yeah.
I'm saying is, okay, you can review 600,000 books, but in the meantime, 30,000 books have come in that
Right.
aren't reviewed, and
Well,
they've already come
now,
in.
I hope now
The
how the law
legislation-
is right now.
The
Okay,
legislation
where
is backwards.
you got it. How it should be now when books are being brought in.
They've
They
been-
need
That
to be
media
reviewed?
specialist is supposed to sign off on it.
review the books.
Okay,
at that
review the
time.
books at that time.
Okay.
And guess what? The superintendent has to sign off too.
Right.
So
that
they
he's
are being
followed-
reviewed as they
Yes,
come in.
yes.
I did not know
Yes.
that. Okay. So
Yeah.
that
They gotta follow
clarifies.
So we had to do everything in-house, which we're still trying to get it
So
fixed
that's
up.
going to prevent
Yeah.
this book, well,
we-
unless
we
the book
hope-
just gets slipped in through the
Well,
cracks somehow.
yeah, well, we hope so. Now, the problem is, and some of these books, you look at the titles, you go up there and look on Google and go to Amazon,
Never judge a book by the
the cover.
Yeah, I like
Because
that.
I had to read some of this stuff, and but
because they'll
there's-
find ways to sneak
Well,
them in by
there's no
changing the title and putting a pink flower on.
well,
on the
there's
front
no
of the book.
rating system. So, movies have got it PG, R, whatever. These books, there's no rating system at all. So you look at
Maybe
the
we need a
you look at the
rating system on
titles.
on all
Well,
books.
I would tell you that would be a great legislation.
They have it on
Yeah.
magazines
They should, to me,
and movies.
books should be rated on the content.
Mm-hmm.
So So what I'm looking at, I don't want anybody's child. I want to respect the parental rights. I want to make sure that child does not get introduced to anything unless it's that parent that's wanting to do it themselves. But I can't see some of these I've reviewed. There's no way it brings any educational benefit for K through 5 students, And but if you look at the 600,000, there's a lot of them that win. We'll have some that K through 5 can't access, And then we'll have some for middle school and some for high school, But anyway, that's all we're wanting to do is follow the law. So I just want to clarify that because I saw that all in the news.
Okay.
It don't matter if you're a conservative guy that got the book reviewed or a liberal; they're all being reviewed by the law.
No matter what. And one thing about those young minds, they are so they're so absorbent. And when you bring those books in, there's a thing called a broken window theory, where you just kind of break a window and then you kind of let you get by. But they build on that because they're absorbing what's in that book, and sometimes it may be sexual content, sometimes it may be violence, and
introducing sexual predators, all kind of stuff.
And if you're not being monitored
right.
at home, and if your parents, now you get the books, then you got the cell phone, you got the social media, and it's just a combination of a lot of different things, and then we wonder. Wonder what happened.
They're getting hit by every different direction you can imagine by people that are peddling this kind of stuff to them because they're making money off it.
And they're listening to each other.
Yeah. Right. And a lot of that stuff, is the babysitter. That's what kids are exposed to. The kids put them in front of the TV or they hand them a phone while the parents can go off and do stuff. And, a lot of parents work, 9 to 5 or work double shifts or are always at work. They're never at home. Their kids come home from school. What are they doing? They're alone. They're watching TV. They're on the computer. Yeah. So that's what the kids are doing because there's no supervision.
I was flipping through the channels the other day on my television and laying it on a drag show, Quickly flipped it off, and I was thinking to myself, how many children could have done the same thing I just did?
You can do that.
It wasn't late at night or nothing. It was in the afternoon. I was trying to find a channel I wanted to go to.
If it's something new to a child, they're going to be like, "What's that?" They're going to want to watch it.
And I talked about this time because a couple of years ago, I went to I won't mention which school, but it was a ceremony, and I noticed the men teachers all had a beard. Mm-hmm. Well, every student that came up for award had a beard too. It was in high school, and it just made me think how impressionable these students are because they love their teachers, and it was a more of a ag type program, So, but I just noticed that how impressionable these children are at that age.
They copied the behavior.
So there's a lot of issues. I always say Escambia County is a big, or Pensacola is a small town with big city problems. Mm-hmm. So what I would like to see is our local leaders concentrating on eliminating those pockets of poverty and high crime with whatever tools are available to break that generational poverty. Mm-hmm. And because as long as that's there, Chip Simmons is going to have problems with the sheriff department. Mm-hmm. We're going to have problems with the school district until we get this under control in these communities. Because these children, some of them didn't win a lottery for what they're born into, what elements. Mm-hmm. And then some of these parents just don't have the resources to help these children. So hopefully we can hit it as a team and try to do what we can, because the more of these children we lift up, maybe they go in the military, maybe they go whatever. And we need to
we need to do that. At least get the parents and everyone involved, because if we don't, we're going to find that the public school system, as we know it, is going to kind of fade away, because right now there's won't
never fade away. It'd be like New Orleans. Okay?
There's a representative out there now who has putting forth a bill, and I would love to get him on the show, that is going to make charter school. So say if you have a school, if you have an AK Suitor, if you have a school that's thriving, where parents and the community can get together and turn that into a charter school, and those are dollars that will be taken
I also
away.
put in an amendment that you can take any surplus property away from the school district.
Yeah.
So instead of us, like we usually will sell,
Mhm.
and then we use the money to help the children in Escambia County.
That's right.
This bill, but
We're gonna
I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, I won't
because-
get into that. I don't want.
Because, but
I don't wanna
but,
get in that.
You know, and here's where it's at, Charles. New Orleans went down this path. The haves all go to private school. The have-nots are in. So if you want to segregate the have and have-nots, that's the process you use. Okay.
Private schools where parents
Well,
have
I
to
mean,
pay,
yeah, you just separate charter. You know, if you're going to go out.
charter schools.
Well, the reason why I made this Warrenton,
That-
the reason why I wanted Warrenton to be a zoned charter school is because I knew if they didn't, it would become a quasi magnet school.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, we could do we do magnet schools. They're A schools,
Yeah.
but
There's criteria for
there's
those
criteria
schools.
for the students
It's
that
not
come
just
in
the
can
di-
have a whole lot
It's
of
not just
different
because the children live in
But
the
I'm
district
just
of that school.
right. So if you go to a process of you're going to have private charter magnet schools and the public schools,
Yeah.
you're still left with those have-nots.
Uh-huh.
So we got to provide those proper resources to make those level one low performing students high performing students. And the problem that we got is
Can you
when
do
they come in,
Doesn't it start at the family though? I mean,
It
doesn't
starts
start
at the
at
family
home? So
because
how are you going to change
you're
the
right,
family?
because a lot of times those kindergartners come in, they don't even know their name. They
They
don't
can't
know
spell
one
their
letter of
name
the
right.
alphabet.
Yeah.
They don't have a parent that's reading to them,
Yeah.
and it's
sad.
tough stuff. That's why we're hoping with the Children's Trust that they could provide those extra resources to get those kids. If we can get those kids kindergarten ready, it'll eliminate a lot of this problem.
I'd like to talk more about the Children's Trust.
Yeah.
But we need to take a commercial break. So when we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Kevin Adams about the Children's Trust for Escambia County. Great Change Cleaning Service is Pensacola's premier housekeeping service. We specialize in residential, short-term rentals, and small office cleaning. We want to get your home or office fabulously clean at a reasonable price. Call Great Change Cleaning Service so we can set up a time to get your home or office Great Change clean. So Kevin, I'm very interested in Warrington Middle School and how it's doing as a charter school. So we're into the second semester.
Yeah.
Is this its first year as a charter school?
Yes,
It's the
yes, first year.
How's it doing so far?
Well, they're still working at it, and we're getting reports. The board's getting reports. One thing nice about the new superintendent, he keeps us informed of everything that's going on in the school district every day, and so he's been giving us updates. So they're working through a process down there, and hopefully they'll go. We got other low performing schools, that got low capacity, and one of the things that I've been pushing is the K-8s. Okay,
Yeah.
because you got less dropout rates, better school grades. The PTA stays all the way through 8th grade. The parent knows when they come in at pre-K or
it would be so
kindergarten
much
there.
easier because if
Yeah.
you have 2 or 3 kids going to school, then there are better chances of having to drop them off
right
at one
there.
school than to drive across town to drop one kid off at at kindergarten and then,
So
or
what?
preschool and
So
then the next
what I
kid
would like
in-
to see, and I'm only one of 5 board members. Okay, we all got different opinions, but I would like to see us go to the K-8 community schools. Where kids are not bust out of their community, where they actually can stay there. The parents know they're there from K through 8th grade. So Mr. Leonard has started with 2 schools with a 6th grade. They're doing a pilot test.
Oh.
I hope it's Cadova Park. They're going to be allowed to stay there to 6. West Pensacola. Now, I will tell you, I told the superintendent I'm a little impatient because I've got some schools that I think it would help on my side to start increase it. Some of the concerns is whether they could have a same type band as one of our bigger middle schools or basketball teams and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But what I'm seeing through the rest of the state of Florida, they have their music programs, they have their athletic programs, and it's working. So, but south of the interstate, we have a lot of low-performing kids that we need to have programs to pick them up. I think the K-8 would be a wonderful start to doing that, and you get a smaller amount of those kids in each grade. It'd be 100, 125 going up 6th, 7th, 8th grade. So it's not like a middle school where you're bringing in, like my Bailey, it could be 1,200 kids coming in.
Right.
A lot of these middle schools are fed by
5 schools.
10 or more elementary schools,
Yeah.
coming in. So you know exactly that child has fallen behind. You know exactly what to do. And personally, I don't think we can move fast enough to that in the school district. Now, there's some areas that aren't broken.
I like that idea.
There's some places that ain't broken.
Yeah.
But in the areas we're having problems, so if you look at our attendance, it's like an hourglass. Elementary school, we start out large, and a lot of parents will leave us at middle school and come back at high school. And I think the K-8s, it just eliminates that drop-off, there. So we're going to have to come up with new ideals because we're in a competitive situation now.
I want to say something here, and a lot of the audience may or may not know this. I think we have about 5 or 6 charter schools currently. In Pensacola.
We
Were
do.
you aware of that? We got
Jacqueline
we got
Harris.
Pensacola Beach, Jacqueline Harris, Pensacola State College, Warrenton Middle School, and we have a couple of more. Those are the charter schools, and most of them we don't have. We have oversight, but we have more of a financial commitment to happen Warrenton. But that's quite already about 5 or 6 charter schools out there.
Yeah. We have a good relationship with our charter schools. I got Beulah Academy of Science. It's out in Beulah. Miss Bailey there does an excellent job. And you mentioned the other ones, Jacqueline Harris and all them. So they all fit little nicks, This is the first time we took a big attendance area in a big school to convert to a charter. And it's not run by something local. It's more of a statewide or national company.
So are all of these charter schools run by different companies?
I think they got their own board. I don't.
I know. Jacqueline
I think
Harris.
they got a nonprofit. They'll have a. They'll make a nonprofit kind of over
their own entity.
They're kind of on their
kind of like a private school, except for the parents don't pay to send their children there.
Well, I mean, they're a public school.
Yeah.
Okay, and they have to meet some of these requirements
The
there.
state laws.
And then the school district, we have Miss Coots, who keeps track of them. They do audits, to make sure they're complying with all the state regulations. So they're semi-autonomous.
Okay.
As long as they're doing okay.
So
they're not doing okay, then they get in that
as long
turnaround
as they're
status.
Doing okay,
They have
and
to follow
they're
the
abiding
rules.
by state laws.
Pensacola Beach, I think they're tops in the country.
I'm sure,
Because they got a wealth.
And we have an excellent program, school out at the State College.
They started a new one at West Campus at Pensacola State College, right?
Yeah.
So they got a charter school, high school over there. So and I would tell you,
I did not know.
You didn't know that? Yeah, we do have a charter school there.
and I would tell you, me personally, I support all choice. If a kid will do better being homeschooled, that's fine.
Yeah.
If he do better in this environment over here, that's fine. So, and parents are looking for, when I was at Escambia High School, when they built Pine Forest, my buddies, that went and play football, hey, Kevin, come with me. But Marcus Creek was there, and there was no way you can get from one school to another back then. Unless you had a very influential father, maybe. But So I couldn't go. That's not how it is today. We have full
Right.
choice in Escambia County. We got 67 academies are about there. Kids can choice from one academy to another, and then we have our magnet schools.
And so the academies are kind of geared toward a skill, or it teaches them something specific.
Pine Forest got an excellent IT. So does Tate.
Yeah.
Those kids go out; they make good money in there. So there's
So you test the kids, or you critique them somehow.
Well,
to find
they
out
work on getting their
what they're-
certifications. Some of them
No, to
kids
figure
get
out
out of
what-
high school, they'll have.
I mean, to figure out which academy they're going to go to.
Oh yeah.
Some of them
So-
have uniforms. A lot of the charter schools they wear uniform. I know Jacqueline Harris.
Bill Academy of Science does not.
They wear uniforms. I know
Yeah.
Warrenton has.
I'm kind of torn on uniforms.
Warrenton is wearing uniforms now.
Yeah.
I don't know about.
I think the parents vote for it. I think in our policy,
Yeah.
the parents could vote to do
I
it.
guess
And I
if the
almost think we
parents
do
vote-
have some schools that are with uniforms. I don't think it's going to mind,
Yeah.
but I think there's some out there that's voted to have the uniform. But if the parents want to do that, then
I think they should either go for a uniform or a strict dress code, a very basic dress code where kids are kind of dressed the same.
well, and these kids are dressed pretty revealing at times. So
Right. And they shouldn't. That shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah.
That's part of that social media influence.
Right.
Well, that's where they pick that up at.
Yeah.
That's part of it. That's
Well,
what
it's
they do.
also what they sell in the mall. I mean, it's really hard to go find a girl's dress that isn't like 3 inches above the knees.
I think it was at West Florida a couple of years ago. We had a controversy, because there was some dress code violations, and what I told some of the parents that called me, I said, if we can't get it under control, then I'd rather y'all go to uniforms
Yeah.
and be done with it.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way. But you need to dress kind of like you're going to church,
Yeah.
and
Modestly.
modestly, yeah.
Yes,
And
to learn.
the school's there you're there for the education. You're not there for them other experiences. So, you're there to learn, and it's very
You're
important.
not there to be social.
Right.
I mean,
It's-
there is socialization in school
Yeah.
because you're around other people, but you're there to learn. You're there for a specific reason.
Yeah. Now, I will tell you, this is one other topic, maybe I'll get in real quick, but right now we have a system that tries to make, that processes a child to be going to college, okay? Where we have some that may not go to college, may choose not to go to college, may be going in plumbing,
Right.
or
That's great.
or electrical or whatever. And I wish that I don't see why somebody that wants to be a plumber needs to know algebra to
Right.
graduate from high school.
Right.
I know England does it this way, and some other countries when they get to that ninth grade or so, they get a year to kind of figure out which way they're going to go, get the aptitude test. I wish we could develop something to that effect. That
Right.
if you're going to college, you do need all those extra
You
classes.
need math. You definitely
well,
need
I'm talking about the
basic
level.
math.
You need
Right.
you need to be able to read, write, and arithmetic,
Right.
whatever
Yeah.
you're doing.
What's your
But
career plan?
calculus for a plumber or
No,
electric,
right.
and I would tell you.
I can understand basic algebra
Yeah.
because it makes you use your brain. You're forced to use your brain. You're forced to concentrate on something.
Well-
Whether or not you're ever going to use it again, it exercises your brain. Your brain is a muscle, and you do need to be exposed to certain
I'm
things
gonna-
that make you think.
I'm going to tell you,
make
that
you
plumber
think.
you call that charges you about $800, he is not using algebra.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm going to tell you guys this right here. When I was coming up, I was in college, but one of the best job I ever had and most meaningful job I ever had was I was a pipe fitter.
Yeah.
At Daniels Construction Company out at that time it was Monsanto and Daniels would put all the pipes together, working on a fab shop. I couldn't believe it, and all you had to do is know how to read a ruler, and I had a welder, and he was a tacker, and I could. That was one of the few jobs where I actually was able to see the product because you had to cut it and you bend it and you had to read it. It wasn't
skill.
bad.
Well-
I probably couldn't do that now, but back then I was a young man, I was a pipe fitter, and I was.
Well, you go to some of these construction sites, got a guy that didn't even graduate high school, and he's laying out them stair treads. He's sitting there, and I'm sitting there thinking, Lord, I went to college, and so he knows how high those stair treads got to go, and You know, and but I just wish we would concentrate on those that are more that decide. The parent decides, and they decide, hey, I'm going to go blue collar.
If you can
this way.
read a ruler,
Yeah.
all you need to do is know how
Yeah.
to read a ruler, and that ruler is going to give you all the inches, the eighth of an inch, and then measure and it just, and then
But
from
you
there
need to
it
know
expands.
Yeah.
From there you
I
expand.
But you do need to know your 3 R's. But
Yeah.
I'm just talking you get the upper level stuff. But I think we use a lot of energy that could be used in other ways. But anyway, I'm going to keep, as long as I'm on the board,
And-
keep pushing and trying to improve the situation. And we got a new superintendent, just got permanent. He can do a whole lot as interim.
Congratulations to the board.
Yeah,
for- congratulations.
we got him there. And I will tell you, it was like a light switch going off.
Yeah.
The amount of phone calls I was getting, it just settled everything down. Now we got some hard issues that we got to deal with,
Right.
which we probably should have dealt with 2 years ago. You know, but it's going to take a little while.
And I'm gonna tell you one more thing while I got the time. I also I had graduated college and I couldn't find a job. So what I done, I was working out on base, and the only thing they had was an electrician helper. I had a degree, but what I ended up doing, I went back out to Pensacola Junior College,
Yeah.
and I took schematics and wiring diagram, basic electricity, and
Took
a
those
lot
core
of other
classes you
electrical
needed.
classes, and that was a meaningful job too. And I was an electrician helper. I was doing real good. Till one day I was in one of the buildings, 603 or 606 or something, but I put the 2 wires together for the fire alarm, and when you was setting up the fire alarm, everything's supposed to be kind of separate back then, and it was raining in the fire department, and everybody came, and we had
set it
to,
all
they had
up.
Made a mess
they
of
had,
it.
they had to empty the building, and,
Well,
And that was because of you,
hey,
because I had put 2 wires together that
accidentally.
Charles, when I graduated from Escambia High School, I had no intentions of going to college. My only thing I thought of was getting a job. Because,
Right.
you know, it was pretty poor back then. You didn't have anything. So I just wanted a job, and I worked as a cook. I went out to the airport pumping fuel in planes and everything. Well, I got picked up by NADEP as an aircraft sheet metal
I was
helper
at a NADEP.
out there, 3460. Which is now the mega building
And you
on the
worked your
84
way,
line.
You worked your way up.
And worked my way up the journeyman. But then when it got bracked, I went back to school at Pensacola State College, got a accounting degree, got a business degree. I focused on getting enough accounting classes to qualify to go to Defense Finance and Accounting Service.
Okay.
And that's what I did. I went over there as accounting tech. Then I was a financial management
That's
analyst
pretty
with a
tough
commercial
math.
pay. And then going, so I needed the math then.
So you were there, you were there during that time?
Yeah. And then I was a facility manager for DFAS.
Yeah.
And then it got bracked, and I went to NAS Whiting, and I was with NAPAC, and I had contract oversight with the 2 airfields out there and 11 outlying airfields.
Okay.
So
but the trade, I grew up in the trade. A lot of people don't know it, but I only went to the administrative part, civilian personnel. I went there in '88. I got my bachelor's degree in '82.
Right.
But and I was an electrician helper, went work in avionics, sheet metal.
Yeah.
My foundation is really blue collar.
Right. Well, that's what I'm getting at, because I did this.
Well, that's
I went.
not bad to have,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're well-rounded. You can do a little bit of everything.
And you know, when I went back to college,
all of that experience combined, makes
And most
you
people who
are.
know me, and I used to always tell them, I say, I'm getting out there, I'm going to go to civilian personnel because I had my degree, and they would always tell
Building
me, you're
one.
not going nowhere, you're not going nowhere.
you went to building one, didn't you?
Yeah, and I was the EEO guy when they went through the BRAC. I was for NADAP.
Well, and see, that's how I'm looking at it. Is you can be successful without going to college.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
so when I decided to go to college, when I was losing my job, had 2 kids and one on the way. Then I decided, well, I got to do something else.
You just have to be a
I
hard
couldn't
worker.
keep a job.
Yeah.
That's why
And-
I had to go to college
Right.
because I had to get the GI Bill.
Well,
I got paid to go to college.
The Navy just announced the other day that they are lowering their standards for kids to
They're
get in.
in need.
Well,
They're
and
in
what
need.
you know what? I thought that was wonderful, because some of these kids that have a hard time getting out of high school, they get out of high school, they get with the Navy, The Navy's going to teach
Teach
them
them.
a lot of things.
Yeah.
So we got this mindset of everybody going to college, but we should have that mindset that every child should be successful, whichever path they take. That's
So
what it
many
should be.
skill sets out there in
Yeah, I
academic,
agree.
blue collar.
Yeah.
A lot of I'm
Yeah.
As
a
long
blue
as
collar.
they are working hard. You know,
Oh, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
People have different levels of intelligence. You know, just because you are at a lower level of intelligence doesn't mean you can't work hard. It doesn't mean you can't try hard.
Yeah, yeah.
So
well,
as long
the
as you're
ship
trying.
needs sailors of all different types. You know, whether it's keep the boiler room going, or keeping the kitchen going, keeping whatever going. So that ship, it's got
because you got the
requirements.
money coming in with the blue collar, and if you have some other goals, that blue collar is going to pay you well until you get there. Some people come straight out of it and go straight to college,
Right.
But I got out and then I went to college, but I had kids. I had 2 boys I had to take care of, so
Right.
so I done what I had to do, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed being a blue collar worker. I used to. I one day I'll just tell you.
I actually
story.
missed some times on the aircraft lines, myself.
Yeah.
Even though now I couldn't be on.
Yeah, seat metal, all that stuff.
You had to be
Yeah.
in shape down
I didn't know
working
you
those
was out to do
aircraft.
that.
Yeah.
We're going to have you on the show again so
Uh-oh.
we can reminisce about your lives. Because I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
Because I'm friends with
Yeah.
both of you,
Right.
know, outside of the show. And
Well, I didn't
and
know he was
enjoy-
out there with me.
No, I
Yeah.
enjoy
Yeah.
hearing all of this history.
Yeah.
So, do you have any closing remarks?
Well,
on,
as you heard from us talking about our history, we just want to make sure these children are prepared for whichever way they want to go in life, to be able to make a living, have a family, and do all the things that they should do. And so that's what I'm going to keep pushing for. We got a lot of marvelous children in our schools. We got a lot of marvelous teachers. We got great schools. And when we have some that are misbehaving, we're going to take action.
I just want to say that to the young people out there in particular, just if you get a job, don't worry about the type of job. What you want to do is just
Get a job.
build a reputation of being on time, being
Right.
dependable, and the cream always rise to the top.
That's right. That's right.
we want to thank our sponsors, Ida Gates Godly Tees LLC, Next Door Real Estate Photography, First National Title Insurance Company, our guest, Kevin Adams from Escambia County School Board, District 1, for coming on the show. And we want to thank our viewers for watching this episode of the Thornton Review. The Thornton Review is on the air to provide public service awareness and intellectual infrastructure to our community. We hope you'll tune in to our next show. Bye-bye.